The night shift at the Deep Space Outpost Vigilant Dawn was usually quiet. Commander Nathan Hayes liked it that way. He enjoyed standing in the control room with a cup of strong black coffee, watching the stars slide slowly across the viewing screen. Out here, far from Earth, the silence was comforting. It was a silence that meant everything was working as it should, but tonight that silence was broken. "Commander," said Lieutenant Kim from the sensor station, "we're picking up something on long-range scanners. Small vessel. No identification code." Nathan set his cup down and walked over to the glowing display. A single green dot was moving toward their position at steady speed. No official ship traveled this deep into the black sector without a code. The rules were strict. The dot moved closer and closer. "Any response to hails?" Nathan asked. "None, sir," Kim replied. "It's ignoring all frequencies." Nathan's fingers tightened on the console. Out here, no response usually meant one of two things: trouble or bigger trouble. "Bring defense grid to standby," Nathan ordered, "but do not lock weapons yet. We don't want to fire at a lost supply ship." "Yes, sir." The rest of the bridge crew straightened in their chairs. Even though the outpost was small, everyone understood how serious this could be. Space might look calm, but it was never safe. The unknown ship slowed as it neared the outpost's docking ring. It didn't drift or spin like a damaged craft. Its approach was smooth. Precise. Too precise. "Commander, it's requesting a docking connection," Kim said, eyes wide. Nathan frowned. "But no ID?" "No ID. Accept it. But keep the airlock sealed. Full security protocol." "Yes, sir." The sound of metal touching metal echoed faintly through the control room as the unknown ship latched onto the docking ring. The docking clamps clicked and the monitors showed a small walkway extending between the two vessels. "Security team, report to Docking Bay 1, Nathan said into the comm. "Non-lethal weapons only. We don't shoot first," the security team responded quickly. In a place like Vigilant Dawn, there was no room for delay. Within 2 minutes, 6 officers in light armor stood waiting at the inner airlock door. The metal walls hummed as the station's systems checked pressure seals. Inside the control room, Nathan watched the camera feed. The outer door of the docking bay hissed open. Fog rolled in like pale smoke. For a moment, nothing moved. Then she appeared. A figure stepped out of the mist. Tall, graceful. She moved like she belonged there, even though no one had ever seen her before. Her skin had a faint silver tone, and her long hair floated slightly as if the air around her was thinner. Her eyes were bright and sharp like a star. The bridge went silent. "Who is she?" Kim whispered. Nathan didn't answer. He was watching carefully. The woman was wearing a long, flowing robe, soft white with faint glowing lines that shifted like light on water. She walked slowly, calmly, as if she knew every eye on the station was on her. The security team raised their stun rifles. She didn't flinch. She stopped 3 steps away from the airlock control panel. Then she did something no one expected. She reached up and, with one smooth motion, slipped the robe off her shoulders. The fabric slid down silently and fell at her feet like a cloud. Underneath, she wore a sleek black exosuit, the kind used by infiltration units in advanced star systems. The glowing lines along her arms pulsed like veins of light. It was not a weapon, but it was clearly not just clothing. The entire security team stiffened. This was no lost traveler. She was prepared. The woman stepped closer, lowered her head slightly, and spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft, almost musical. 2 words, "Move over." The words made no sense, but the moment she spoke them, the station's translation AI came alive with warning symbols. The phrase was not romantic, not friendly. It was a command code used in galactic power transfers between factions. "Sir," Kim said, panic rising in her voice. "That phrase is flagged." "High-level priority." Nathan leaned forward. "Flagged for what?" Kim stared at her screen. "For station takeover." The alien girl lifted her eyes to the camera. For a second, it felt as though she could see straight through it. Straight through him. She raised her hand slowly and tapped the door panel. The airlock light turned green. "That's impossible," Kim whispered. "We locked it," Nathan snapped into action. "Override that system, now." But before Kim could finish typing, the airlock door slid open with a quiet hiss. The alien girl stepped into Vigilant Dawn like it was already hers. The security team pointed their stun rifles, but she didn't even blink. Instead, she raised both hands slowly to show they were empty. "I come alone," she said. "I am not your enemy, but your time is short." The security captain, a tall man named Ortiz, kept his voice steady. Stay where you are. Hands visible. She obeyed, standing calmly in the center of the room. Nathan rushed down to the docking bay. The sliding doors opened and he stepped in. The air felt strange, thinner, charged. Ortiz looked at him for direction. Nathan nodded slightly. He faced the woman. Who are you? Her eyes locked on him. My name is Kayla. I am Ilith. A murmur spread through the security team. Everyone had heard the name Ilith in old war briefings. The Ilith Empire had been wiped out a century ago, or so everyone thought. Their technology had been legendary, fast, silent, unstoppable. That's impossible, Nathan said carefully. The Ilith are extinct. Kayla tilted her head slightly like someone watching a curious animal. Extinct, she repeated slowly. A word for the past. But I am not the past. The tension grew heavier with every second. Kayla's silver eyes seemed to take in everything. The guards, the blinking lights, the pressure doors. She wasn't afraid. She was studying. Why did you dock here without identification? Nathan asked. Because your codes would not let me in otherwise. That's the point, Ortiz muttered. She ignored him. There is no time for your rules. They are coming. Nathan frowned. Who's coming? Kayla didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked slowly toward the control panel at the edge of the bay. Ortiz stepped forward, blocking her path. She stopped, meeting his stare with calm strength. Who's coming? Nathan repeated louder this time. Kayla raised her right arm. A small silver device was attached to her wrist. She touched it lightly, and a holographic display burst into the air. Blue and white light forming the shape of a fleet. Dozens, no, hundreds of ships moving through space. The outpost crew stared at the projection in silence. The formation was tight, organized, and heading straight for Vigilant Dawn. What fleet is this? Nathan demanded. The Ilith, Kayla said. But not my Ilith, a new order. A new command, they take. They do not ask. The room felt colder. Nathan had seen large fleets before, but this one was different. It was massive and efficient. If they reached the station, there would be no defense strong enough to stop them. You're warning us? Nathan asked slowly. Kayla nodded. Yes, why? She looked at him for a long time, then said softly, Because I do not belong to them anymore. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. An Ilith defector? No one had ever heard of such a thing. Nathan tried to read her face. She looked young, but her eyes carried something old, like she had seen too much for too long. She spoke with quiet certainty. If you do nothing, this station will fall in less than 12 hours. If you act, maybe it will survive. Ortiz lowered his rifle a little but didn't relax. Why should we trust you? Kayla smiled faintly, though it wasn't a warm smile. You should not. But I am here anyway. Nathan took a deep breath. This was dangerous. She could be a spy, a trap. But if she was telling the truth, the outpost was facing something far bigger than anything they could handle alone. He turned to his crew. Lock down the docking bay. Get the fleet data to command, and keep her under watch. Kim's voice came over the intercom. Commander, incoming encrypted signal from her ship. It's strange. It's piggybacking on our own comms. Nathan glanced at Kayla. She stood calmly, hands still raised. They already know you are here, she said softly. You have little time. The alarms began to echo through the station as the long-range sensors picked up something huge moving in the distance. Not one ship, many. Kayla lowered her hands, her expression steady. Move over, she whispered again. Or be moved. Nathan stared at her, realizing those words were not a threat. They were a warning. A line drawn in the dark. Outside the viewing deck, the first faint lights of an approaching armada appeared against the stars. The silence of space was gone. The warning sirens echoed through every corridor of the outpost to Vigilant Dawn. Red lights flashed across the metal walls, and crew members ran to their stations. The once quiet and calm station now felt alive with a sharp, tense energy. Everyone knew what was coming. Commander Nathan Hayes stood on the command deck, staring at the large screen in front of him. On it, hundreds of glowing dots moved closer to the station in perfect formation. The enemy fleet. The Ilith Armada. They'll reach us in 7 hours, said Lieutenant Kim. Her voice was shaky, but her hands moved quickly over the console. 7 hours before they arrive at weapons range. Nathan's jaw tightened. 7 hours was nothing. It wasn't enough time to evacuate. It wasn't enough time to call for help. and it wasn't enough time to fight an entire fleet head-on. Kayla stood behind him, calm as a still lake. She watched the screen with quiet eyes. She did not look afraid. She looked like someone who had seen this before. Nathan turned to her. "Tell me everything." She met his eyes. "The fleet is not here to talk. They will not send a warning or a message. They will strike fast, disable your defenses, and take the station. They are a new Ilith order, not like the old empire. They do not want to rule. They want to control." "And what do they want with us?" Kim asked. Kayla tilted her head slightly. "Not you. The outpost. It sits on the edge of a network gate, an old Ilith gate. You built your station here without knowing what sleeps below." Nathan's chest grew heavy. "What gate?" Kayla stepped closer to the screen and touched her wrist device. A blue light projected a three-dimensional map into the air. The outpost appeared as a small dot above a swirling black shape, buried deep under the station. "That," she said quietly, "is a wormhole anchor, a shortcut through space. The new Ilith want it. If they take it, they can open a path straight to your homeworld. They won't need to travel years. Only seconds." The room fell silent. The crew stared at the image. The station was not just a remote outpost anymore. It was the key to something much bigger. "So we're sitting on a door," Nathan said slowly, "and they've come to kick it open." Kayla nodded once. Nathan turned to his team. "We don't let them." Ortiz, the security captain, folded his arms. "We're talking about a whole fleet. We have, what? 6 defense turrets, 1 outdated jammer, and a couple of small fighters." "Exactly," Nathan said. "We can't fight them the way they expect. So we won't." He turned back to Kayla. "You came here for a reason. You said you don't belong to them anymore. Why?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because they forgot who we were. The Ilith once built, explored, created. The New Order only takes and destroys. I will not follow that." "And you want to help us?" Nathan asked carefully. Kayla's silver eyes flashed. "I want to stop them." Nathan nodded slowly. "Then let's stop them together." The next hours passed like a storm. The outpost transformed from a sleepy station into a war machine. Crew members rushed through corridors carrying cables, weapons, and old shield batteries. Technicians opened locked panels, welding and rewiring defense turrets. Pilots prepared their small fighter craft, even though they knew they stood no real chance against a fleet that size. Kayla worked beside them, silent and fast. She connected her wrist device to the station's systems. The AI tried to block her at first, but she bypassed it like opening a simple door. Her knowledge of Ilith technology was beyond anything the humans had seen. In the main control room, she projected the enemy formation again. Glowing blue icons marked weak points in the fleet. "They will come in 3 waves, Kayla explained. "First wave, small scout ships to test your defenses. Second wave, their mid-range destroyers. Third wave, the command vessel. If we want any chance at survival, we must break their coordination before the third wave." Nathan leaned over the table. How Kayla touched the screen. A single red mark appeared in the middle of the enemy fleet. The relay ship. "It is the brain. If we blind it, the fleet becomes slower. Disorganized." Kim raised a hand nervously. "But that ship is huge." "Yes," Kayla said. "But not invincible." Nathan looked around the room. "We're not going to fight them ship by ship. We're going to trick them." Hours later, the outpost lights dimmed. All unnecessary power was rerouted to shields, weapons, and the jammer system. Outside, the enemy fleet grew larger, closer, filling the dark with faint glimmers of movement. Kayla stood on the observation deck next to Nathan. She wore the black exosuit, its lines glowing faint blue now. She looked like part of the stars themselves. "You're calm," Nathan said quietly. "I have seen worse," she replied. "But not with humans." Nathan smirked a little. "That's either comforting or terrifying." She turned her silver eyes toward him. "Humans surprise me. That is why I came." The sound of an alarm broke their moment. Kim's voice came over the comm. "Commander, the first wave is here." The scout ships moved fast and silent. They looked like black blades against the stars. 6 of them. They opened fire the moment they entered range. Blue plasma burned against the station's shields, shaking the metal frame. "Shields at 80%, Kim shouted. "Return fire," Nathan ordered. The station turrets roared to life. Bright streaks of light shot across space. The first volley missed. The second hit 2 scouts. One exploded in a burst of blue light. The other spun out of control and crashed into its partner. Kayla stepped up to the control console. Her fingers moved quickly over the unfamiliar human interface. "Adjust targeting curve," she said calmly. "They always dodge in a straight line, predict, not chase." Kim followed her instructions. The next volley of turret fire struck 2 more ships. "Two left," Ortiz shouted. The remaining scouts broke formation and retreated back toward the fleet. Kayla didn't celebrate. They will return, stronger. Nathan knew she was right. 30 minutes later, the second wave appeared. 20 destroyers, bigger, heavier. Their engines burned bright. The entire station shook as the first salvo hit. Warning lights flashed. Sparks flew from a console near Ortiz. "Shields at 50%. Kim yelled. "If this keeps up, we won't last an hour." Kayla touched her wrist device. "We don't need to last an hour." She sent a coded signal through the station's jamming array. The humans watched as one of the destroyers flickered on their sensors. Then another. The signals turned from blue to red. "They think the relay ship is sending them new coordinates," she explained. I changed the message. On the screen, 5 destroyers broke formation and turned the wrong way. Confused. 2 collided in a burst of light. The others hesitated. The once perfect Ilith formation began to wobble. Nathan allowed himself a small grin. "Nice work." Ortiz slammed his fist on the console. Turrets locked. "Firing again." The next volley hit a distracted destroyer head-on. It tore apart like paper. The humans cheered. Even Kayla's lips curved into the faintest smile. But then the deck shook harder than before. A massive shadow fell across the screen. Kim's voice went pale. "Commander." Third wave. The command vessel of the Ilith fleet was huge, a dark triangular ship larger than the entire outpost. Its presence felt like a storm cloud over a small village. It did not need to fire first to be terrifying. Kayla's face grew serious. "That ship controls the relay. It will fix the formation quickly." Nathan stood tall. "Then we hit it first." Ortiz turned to him. "With what, sir?" "We don't have anything that can punch through that hull." Nathan looked at Kayla. She looked back. No words were needed. "There is something under the station," Kayla said softly. "The wormhole anchor is not just a door. It is a weapon if you know how to speak its language." Kim's eyes widened. "You can control it?" Kayla nodded. "I can open it." For a few seconds, long enough to make them afraid. Nathan hesitated. Afraid of what? Of falling. They gathered in the lowest chamber of the outpost, a silent, cold room that few crew members even knew existed. At the center stood a massive black ring covered in glowing symbols. It pulsed faintly like something alive. Kayla walked up to it slowly and placed her hand on the surface. The glow spread across the room. The lights dimmed. A low hum filled the air, deep and powerful. "This," she whispered, "is the old Ilith heart." She closed her eyes. The symbols flared brighter. The hum turned into a pulse. Nathan could feel it in his chest. It wasn't just energy, it was space-bending. "Commander," Kim's voice came through the comm. "The command vessel is charging its main cannon." Nathan gritted his teeth. "Kayla!" She opened her eyes. They were blazing silver now. "Tell your crew to move over." Nathan looked at Ortiz. "Fire everything we've got at their engines. Make them stay still." Ortiz nodded and rushed back to the turrets. Outside, beams of light streaked across space, hammering the giant ship. The Ilith returned fire. The station shook violently, but the command vessel slowed just enough. Kayla raised both hands. The wormhole anchor roared to life. A black hole, small but real, opened in the space just beneath the enemy ship. Its edges twisted the starlight like liquid glass. The Ilith ship's engines screamed against the pull. "They will not fall," Kayla said, "but they will fear." The giant ship fired its cannon, but it missed. The shot curved away under the strange gravity. For the first time, the enemy fleet broke formation completely. Kim's voice came through, trembling. "It's working." Kayla lowered her hands slowly, breathing hard. The black hole faded, leaving only silence. The Ilith fleet hesitated. Their perfect control was gone. The silence after the wormhole pulse was thick and heavy. Outside the viewing deck of Vigilant Dawn, the great Ilith command vessel floated like a giant dark shadow. The fleet, once perfect and sharp, was now broken into uneven groups. The smooth lines of their formation had turned jagged. They were powerful, but no longer calm. Commander Nathan Hayes stood at the center of the control room, his hands gripping the edge of the console. His crew watched the enemy with wide, tired eyes. They had spent hours preparing for this moment, and now it had come. Kayla stood beside him, breathing slowly, her exosuit still glowing faintly from the wormhole energy she had called. The pulse had worked. The Ilith had felt something they were not used to feeling: fear. "They won't retreat," Ortiz said quietly, loading another magazine into his weapon. "They'll attack harder now." "I know," Nathan replied. "They'll be here in less than 15 minutes, Kim added, looking pale but steady. Kayla stepped forward. "They will not stop until they control the anchor. Or until we destroy it." Nathan turned to her. "You said this anchor can be used as a weapon. What happens if we destroy it?" Kayla looked at the floor for a moment before answering. "Then the door to your homeworld stays closed. But this station will be gone with it, everything." Ortiz let out a sharp breath. "That's not much of a plan." "It's not the only plan," Kayla said softly. Her silver eyes lifted and met Nathan's. "There is another way, but it will not be easy." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." "We cannot outgun them," Kayla said. "But we can outthink them. The new Ilith depend on control, orders, commands from their relay ship. If we cut their voice, their army turns blind." Kim leaned over the console. "We already damaged their formation." Kayla nodded. "We finished the job." The plan came together fast. There was no time for long speeches or ceremonies. Everyone on Vigilant Dawn understood the stakes. If the Ilith won, Earth would be next. Kayla explained the weak points of the relay ship. It was big, heavily shielded, and surrounded by fighters. But she also knew something the Ilith had forgotten. The relay core inside the ship still used old Ilith code, the same code she carried in her device. "If I get close enough," she said, "I can shut their command down for good." Nathan looked at her. "That sounds like suicide." She tilted her head. "Not if your fighters can distract them." Ortiz grinned. "We've been waiting to hear something like that." Nathan turned to the crew. "All right, listen up. This is our chance. We're not just defending a station anymore. We're defending home. Every second we hold buys Earth more time. Every ship we bring down makes a difference. We fight smart." The crew straightened. No one shouted. No one cheered. But there was a quiet strength in their eyes. 10 minutes later, the hangar doors opened. 3 small human fighters shot out into the darkness, engines burning blue. Their job was not to win a space battle. They couldn't. Their job was to make the enemy look the wrong way. Nathan watched from the control deck as they flew straight toward the enemy fleet, weaving through the stars like bright needles. At the same time, Kayla stood in the small stealth shuttle the humans had patched together. It was old but fast. She strapped herself in, her black exosuit merging with the ship's system. Kim's voice came over the comm. "Kayla, are you sure about this?" Kayla's reply was calm. "Yes, it is time to end what they started." Nathan's voice followed. "You get one chance. If they catch you, they won't," she said simply, and cut the line. The enemy fleet opened fire the moment they saw the fighters. Blue plasma beams filled the darkness like storms of light. The fighters twisted and spun, dodging as best as they could. One was hit and spiraled away, smoke trailing. But the others pushed forward, drawing the Ilith ships away from their precious relay vessel. That was when Kayla made her move. Her shuttle slipped through the shadows beneath the largest destroyer, engines whispering instead of roaring. The Ilith sensors focused on the fighters, not on her. Inside the control room, Nathan followed her signal on a small screen. "She's almost there," Kim whispered. Ortiz clenched his jaw. "If they spot her, we won't be able to help." "She knows," Nathan said softly. "But so do we." Kayla's shuttle reached the side of the relay ship, a massive, shining structure shaped like a dark crystal. It pulsed with light, sending invisible waves of command across the entire fleet. She docked silently. The moment the hatch opened, cold air rushed in. The inside of the relay ship was quiet. Too quiet. She moved like a shadow down the narrow corridor, her exosuit absorbing every sound. Her mind raced, not with fear but with memory. She had walked through ships like this long ago when the Ilith still built, not destroyed. She reached the central core, a tall column of black metal and light. Her wrist device hummed. It recognized the code. Her people had built this. "Kayla," Nathan's voice crackled through her ear. "Status?" "I am here," she whispered. The moment she touched the relay core, alarms screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed. The Ilith had noticed. Outside, the enemy fleet started to shift. Their formation tried to tighten again. Fighters broke away from their attack and turned back toward the relay ship. "They've spotted her," Kim shouted. "Fighters, hold them off," Nathan commanded. The two remaining fighters looped back, weaving between enemy fire. They could not hold long, but they didn't need to. Inside the relay ship, Kayla pressed both hands against the core. Her device glowed white-hot. She spoke in the old Ilith tongue, a language no one else on the battlefield understood. "Sleep," she whispered. The lights inside the relay core flickered, then went dark. One by one, the enemy ships on Nathan's screen began to lose coordination. Their formations broke, orders failed to transmit. Their weapons fired in confused directions. Ortiz let out a low whistle. "She did it," Kim shouted. "Fleet is losing structure." Nathan's heart pounded. "Then let's finish this. Target their engines," Nathan ordered. All turrets. All power. The outpost's defense cannons roared. Beams of light lanced through the void, hitting exposed Ilith ships before they could recover. One destroyer burst apart. Another drifted, powerless. A third tried to turn but slammed into a cruiser beside it. On the relay ship, Kyla pulled back from the core, her breathing heavy. She could feel the metal vibrating under her feet as the fleet lost its unity. But something was wrong. The command vessel moved forward, alone. It didn't need orders. It was the source. "They are coming for the anchor," Kayla whispered. Nathan saw it too. The massive command ship had cut through its own fleet like a shark among fish. Its cannons glowed. It was heading straight for Vigilant Dawn. "Commander," Kim shouted. "They're charging their main weapon again." "Brace for impact," Ortiz yelled. The deck shook violently as the first blast hit the station's shields. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Panels cracked. The shields dropped to 60%, then 50. Nathan's knuckles turned white. "We can't let that ship reach us." Ortiz looked at him. "Then what's the play?" Nathan stared at the screen. The command vessel was almost in range. Then he looked down at the wormhole anchor in the lower decks. "Kayla," he said into the comm, "we're going to use the anchor again." Her voice came through, tired but steady. "It will not work the same way twice." "I don't need it to," Nathan said. "I just need to aim it." Nathan rushed to the anchor chamber. Ortiz followed. The giant black ring hummed softly, waiting like a sleeping beast. Kyla's shuttle detached from the relay ship and sped back toward the station. She was weak but not broken. She knew what Nathan was planning. "Open the anchor in front of their ship," she said through the comm. Nathan nodded. "Exactly. Then you need perfect timing. Then we'll give them that." The command vessel loomed closer. Its cannons brightened until they were almost blinding. Every alarm on the station screamed. The shields cracked like glass. Kayla burst into the anchor chamber, breathing hard but still standing. She stepped up to the control panel with Nathan. Ortiz's voice came through the comm. "They're at 5 kilometers. "On my mark," Nathan said. Kayla placed her hand on the black ring. Her silver eyes blazed once more. The wormhole anchor pulsed to life. Space around it twisted and folded like bending water. 3 kilometers. Kim's voice shouted. The Ilith ship prepared to fire its main cannon. 2 kilometers. Kayla whispered the words of her people. The anchor's pulse grew stronger. 1 kilometer. Now, Nathan shouted. The anchor exploded in light. A black hole opened just ahead of the command vessel. The enemy ship tried to brake, but it was too close. Its engines screamed as gravity pulled it forward. The giant ship tilted. Its nose slipped into the spinning darkness. The rest followed, dragging fire and broken metal behind. The black hole swallowed the beast hole. Then it snapped shut. Silence. For a moment, no one spoke. The enemy fleet, without its brain and without its leader, fell apart. Some ships turned and fled. Others simply floated, lost. Nathan stood in the anchor chamber, breathing hard. Ortiz's voice came through the comm. "Commander, they're retreating." A soft laugh escaped Nathan's throat. "Of course they are." Kayla leaned against the panel. Her glowing suit slowly dimmed. She looked tired but alive. Her eyes met Nathan's. For the first time, there was a small, real smile on her lips. "You surprised them," she said. "No," Nathan replied with a grin. "We surprised them." Hours later, the outpost was quiet again. The stars shone bright. "The